Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining Timeout with Tackle What's Next, Episode 3. I'm your host, Danielle Berman, and I am the founder of Tackle What's Next. Here again, we're going to be here every Wednesday at 6 p.m. Eastern on Instagram to speak to athletes and executives about how they've used their lessons that sports taught them outside of the game, in life outside of the game. So we just finished hosting our second ever virtual summit. Thank you to anyone that's on right now or watching this on replay that attended. If you couldn't make it and you still want to check it out, keep an eye out for an email that's coming to you tomorrow about the replay and where you can access it. So if you are not on our email list, head to our website right now and sign up to join it. And today we are talking to my friend Akin Ayodele. Akin is the president and managing partner of Eagle Rock, Wealth Management. He also co-founded the Dream Builders Foundation, which supports financially or mentally challenged youth. He's a serial entrepreneur, he's an investor, he's a motivational speaker, and he's also a former NFL linebacker and also played at Purdue. So I'm going to get Akin on screen here. Let's hope this works this time. Let's see. Now I can, for some reason, fan that we could hear, but we're good now. Can you?
We're good now?
Yeah, we're all set.
Okay, perfect. Is the fan loud?
No, it's all good now. Now I can barely hear it.
Okay.
You're all good.
I don't know what happened earlier. Technology, life, 2020.
Yeah,
It's like
we're
everything
blaming it on 2020. It's just 2020's fault. Everything is 2020.
Exactly. Yeah, we got to blame 2020, right?
Exactly. So how are you? Speaking of 2020, what have you been up to since we connected back at the beginning of this quarantine?
Oh, I mean, so, once this whole ordeal happened, I mean, like you, like everybody else, just life hits you, right? Just the unexpected, and so many of us are having to pivot and just figure out, what to do with ourselves, because what was once normal, how you travel, how you spend your days, how you socialize, everything has been just uprooted and changed. So, like myself, like everybody else, I'm having to do that. One of the things that I really started doing was I wanted to just continue some continuing education. And so I picked up an online class at Purdue University, and it's called Data in the World. So we're so inundated with so much data and information, and that I want to be more proficient in understanding actually how to read data and how to understand the information that are presented to us every single day. And so I've been taking that course now for 10 weeks. I have a few more weeks before I'm done. So it's been huge help. I really understand how to look at the news, how to read the paper, how to just read documents, and business reports, and just understanding what numbers and how it's collected, and so much to that. Another thing is I'm having a kid.
Right. Oh my gosh!
Yeah.
Congratulations! Oh, how exciting!
Thank you. So if I have to go, if I get this call from my fiance, just know why, because my baby girl is here, and so I'm excited. And so another thing is I've been learning how to be a real man. I'm putting together cribs, changing tables, lounge chairs, like like all these baby stuff. So I spend my weekends just do my honey-do list and doing that. And on the business side, we've been having to pivot ourselves and really come up with a new strategy with our clients. And everybody took a hit in a sense, and everybody's having to readjust. And so we've had long days just with our team of trying to keep confidence amongst ourselves, amongst our business, and as well we're just discussing with our clients the new strategies.
Mm-hmm. That's great. I mean, first of all, congratulations on the impending new addition to the family. How exciting is that? I'm sure that's going to change a lot of things. So that's definitely a
Oh
big.
man. Yeah,
But
yeah. They say you have to. There's gonna be some sacrifices made. One of the things I picked up after I retired from football was golf. So it
mhm.
looks like my golf game is gonna suffer now. You know.
I don't think she'd love it if you were at golf all the time, right? That would be not necessarily the best move. So probably a good idea. But
Yeah,
also,
it is.
congrats on going back to school and taking a class. That's an awesome idea and something that I've heard actually a few different athletes saying they were taking advantage of that are actually still in school, took advantage of like kind of a remote semester or summer that kind of was going to be slower and actually took advantage of like catching up on classes instead of doing a camp or something. So that's a really good idea. It's great to hear that you're always learning and trying to build on your skill set. So that's awesome.
Thank you, thank you. I think it's important. I think part of growing and living and being able to adjust to this new normal is adding to yourself. Not letting the uncertainty weigh on you.
Mm-hmm.
Not letting the areas in your life that you can't control kind of keep the anxiety up. So what you do is it's almost like you dig down and dig deep in and really try to figure out, okay, what else can I add to myself? What else can I put on myself and to help myself get out of this, and be better on the other side of it. So whenever we get out of this situation, I feel like just taking this class and having a better understanding of data, how and research, that it will make me just a better businessman. It will make me better in how to communicate with people, and also just make me better how to really like articulate my thoughts and describe what I'm seeing and what I'm trying to get across, to people just by numbers, facts, and, connecting, socially.
Yeah, no, it's great. I think it's such an important concept. So I appreciate you talking about that, sharing that with everybody. Hopefully, everyone is able to do something similar, right? Maybe not that extent, but something similar to always keep learning. So I want to take
Absolutely.
you back a bit. I want to take you back to your first sports experiences. And I want you to tell us, when was your first sports experience? When did you first start playing sports or engaging with sports? And how did you choose football? How did you get to the point where you were like, that's the sport I want to be an expert in?
Man, that's such a great question, Danielle, because, I mean, from the time I can remember, my mom, so I was raised by a single parent. My mom raised four of us by herself, and she always wanted us to be active. She had four boys. She has four boys and a girl, and all of us high energy. And so the one way she could burn some of that energy is keep us outside, keep us
Mhm.
engaged in something. So the very first sport I actually remember competing and playing was swimming.
Mm.
Was actually when I was younger, I was a decent swimmer, and so I used to compete. And then went from swimming to track and soccer, and soccer was my first love. I loved soccer, and everywhere we went, we moved around a lot, but she would always find a soccer league for me to play in as a kid. And then I didn't. I knew football. I played football in my neighborhood after school with the guys in our neighborhood in my apartment complexes. But when I was going to high school, right before I graduated eighth grade, right when I graduated eighth grade, I was going to high school, and I read a Sports Illustrated article that summer that told the story of how Division One gave high school senior football players scholarships, and they paid for school, tuition, all your necessities, your room and board, and most importantly, food. They had me hooked on food. Okay. And once I saw that, I was like, you know what? I grew up very humble. And so I said, this was the way for me to get to college and get a good education and not have to put the burden on my mom. And so I went that when I freshman first day we could report to a practice. I went to the varsity coach and said I wanted to come play football. He said, true story. He asked me how bad do I want to play. I said I really want to play. And then he asked me, how good do you really want to be? And I said I want to be the best. And so he said, go home, think about it, come back the next day. And that was him testing me to see if I would actually come back, because a lot of kids actually don't come back. And I came back, and I was awful. I was terrible. I got made fun of. They gave me nicknames, but I stuck with it. And before you know it, by the time my freshman year, when the season started, I was on the freshman A team. By like the second or third game, I was starting. My sophomore year, I was one of two sophomores that was on varsity, and and it started both ways. And from my sophomore years on varsity all the way through my senior year, and then I got a scholarship, to go play Division I at Purdue. And it's just one of those things that it was being exposed to an article. It was really understanding what I wanted for my future, as far as getting an education. And it was trying to think of how to pay for that future. And so I use football just as a means to an end. And then I fell in love with football. It wasn't till later in life that I actually fell in love with the sport, that I understood the benefits of not just playing a game, but being part of something special.
Yeah. And you talked a lot about the impact that it made, obviously, in your life, but how did it shape who you are today, and what skills did it teach you that you're still using in the work that you're doing?
Yes. And that's the thing. I think not just football, I would say any sport or anything that pushes you and challenges you in life really teaches you a lot about yourself and who you can possibly be. Before football, I would say that I was an athlete, right? I could run, I could jump, I could pick up a lot of different sports. Would play tennis with my uncle on the weekends, and I swam, but I wasn't mentally, I would say, there was a lot of me that I hadn't discovered yet. And what football in itself taught me is one of the things I was always able to do as a football player, whether I went to college and played or went to the pros and played, it taught me how to adjust, how to let go and be able to almost be a hybrid type of player. I started off as a running back, receiver, tight end, linebacker, defensive end. In college, I would go back and forth between defensive end and linebacker. In the pros, I would play linebacker and, defensive end. And then sometimes one of my coaches threw me in the middle of the game, threw me at strong safety, And so it's having that mindset to be able to change, to be a hybrid, and to be able to mold where we are right now in this pandemic. Is not really, setting ourselves and thinking that this is all that we can be or we'll never, life is over now, but just being able to adjust. And I think being relentless, having that mindset to be relentless and to be able to focus and to allow yourself to grow. And I've always, one thing that I would give myself credit to is, I allow myself to grow in new settings and new situations. When the coach comes to you and tells you, hey, you're either going to switch your position or we're going to have to let you go, you kind of learn, okay, I got a choice to make. And so, but you take that into life all the time. I'm not saying every situation necessarily is going to be ideal, but sometimes you're going to have to learn to pivot, and you're going to have to learn to let go of what you think is your normal and adjust to a new normal and allow yourself to actually grow in that moment.
Yeah, that's great segue into like where we are now and as a world, right, in 2020 is, you got to be able to adapt. If you can't adapt, you're not going to do very well. So that's a great skill that seems to have carried over throughout all of your endeavors. And so you now run a wealth management firm, you have a nonprofit, seems like just creating all kinds of really cool businesses and investing in a lot of really interesting projects. Is there anything that you've done that, kind of during your transition, before or after, that helped you be successful and creating all of these different things? I guess, what would you want athletes to know about what worked for you about preparing for what's next, or maybe what not to do and what's next?
Well, there's always a lot not to do, but I would say one of the things that I was privileged and fortunate to have is I connected with a lot of people that didn't need me or didn't need my money while I was playing. And I forged really strong relationship with these people. And And what it helped me post-career was it allowed me to have access to them and to really tap into my network, and that's one of the things I would tell anybody, whether athlete or not, for my athletes that are currently playing right now, man, collect all the business cards that you can get, meet as many people who are, I don't care if they are A-list actors or if they are CEOs or if it's the general manager at a restaurant. Forge relationships with an array, an ensemble of people in different industries, and forge these really strong relationships because it's going to benefit you. We all become successful by the people that we're connected to, because those people are those that will either guide us, mentor us, they'll be a role model to us, and then they end up actually connecting us with whatever our future, true callings becomes, right? So I think one of the things that you have to do is, and I'll just kind of sum it up this way, is network. Don't be afraid, to speak up and network. Don't be afraid to ask to exchange numbers to these CEOs, to these owners, people who are put in positions that, necessarily you may see yourself in.
Yeah, no, that's great advice. And we definitely talk a lot at our events and different content about like the benefit of knowing people outside of the sports world or just outside of your fellow teammates and other teams that you've connected with. Because if you are looking for a job or a position, a lot of times it's those people that are in different industries or different areas and different networks than you that have these opportunities that they can connect you with. So that's a great point. And just a couple more questions. I know we're kind of at our 10-minute mark here, but
we're okay. We started late.
You're all good. What's next for you with your businesses, with your nonprofit? What's coming up either virtually or in the future in person with everything you have going on?
Yeah, so what I'm having to also adjust to, one of the things that I really got into right before the pandemic, the last year and a half, was I was speaking more. I was doing more public speaking, more motivational speaking, speaking to businesses, different charity groups, and I was using my charity also. And so now I'm having to pivot and understand this new virtual seminars and speaking engagements, and so that's one thing I'm having to learn now also, and how to pick up from where we left off and using the new digital age and virtual engagements, and how I can access that, a little bit more of that, and because a lot of times, especially when you speak, you have to travel, you have to stay somewhere, and you have a venue. Now it completely changes. So there's still some adjustment to that. In our business, we went from focusing on our wealth management. Now we're almost transitioning into a equity growth business, and which means in our strategies of who and what type of business we are investing in. So that's had to change. And even with the foundation, we're looking at now how corporations are really getting involved with community engagements and what that segue looks like with the athletes. My foundation really connects current playing athletes, professional athletes across the board with their communities across the nation. So now, we're trying to understand how corporations are really looking at those engagements and, what changes. So, and then there's the family. I'm going to have to adjust. We're having a third one in my life, and looking forward to meeting my beautiful angel, and and just adjusting to become a father. So there's a lot there on the table.
Yeah, there's so many good things coming up. I'm so excited for you. And, again, I think the work that you're doing in the community and even in your business, I know you guys do a lot of investing into areas of the country and projects in the country that might need the funding. So that's really great. I'm so excited for everything coming up for your new addition to the family. Our last question is just how can people that are watching this now or watching it later connect with you and engage with you, and how can they help you?
Yeah. So, one of the things I'm also learning to use social media better. One of the things I've made a conscious focus about is really to be more engaged in my social media and have more appearance there. So, easiest way, honestly, because I spend about an hour or so a day, on my social media. On myself, I don't necessarily always have somebody else doing it for me. So, anybody can get in contact with me at The Akin Project on my Instagram. My Facebook is my name, Akin Ayodele. And I think Twitter is _A for A. Somehow I don't know why it's that, but it is. But yes, I'm open to really communicate with people and really address. I love sports. I love politics. I love philanthropic, and so all areas I'm all about learning and growing. So please don't hesitate to drop in, say hi, and would love to communicate with you.
Awesome. That's a great way to close this out. I think that's an awesome call. For anyone that's on, please make sure you go follow Akin here on Instagram and on his other social platforms. Akin, thanks for being here. This was a lot of fun. It was great to catch up with you.
It is. I know. I'm glad. I love everything that you're doing. I wish you all the best, and let's continue to just stay engaged. And anything I can help you out with, please don't hesitate, and hopefully we get to do this again.
Awesome. I would love that. Thank you so much. I really appreciate all your support. And everyone that tuned in, thanks again for being here. We'll be back here next week at 6 p.m. Eastern for another awesome interview. Thanks, Akin. Talk to you soon.
All right. See ya.